just you might be see when I've been doing this, I take the, you can see I can take the journals off. The journals were real tight, real clean and tidy, so put some tissue around it and then take the tissue on just to make sure. When I've finished any of the fiddling around with this engine, I should take it to work and give it a bit of a hot bath. There's lots of funny little things that have gone on with this engine by the looks of it. It looks very much like a very nice new camshaft, but he's put it in with, looks like they've put it in with old followers. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this or not, but there's a follower. If I can get the face of it, can you see there's a line on the follower and some dinks? Well, I just think it's an old follower. So I mean, followers aren't expensive, so plus I've already lost one. So we'll put some new followers in as well to go with it. Because the camshaft does look like new still. I think it's just a case that they've put the engine together, run it a few miles, and it's smoked where that ring was broke. So yeah, some of the followers haven't got any marks, but some, you know, some definitely have. Yeah, some of them are quite nasty, so there's no point wrecking a nice new cam for the sake of £12 worth of followers, I don't think. Yeah, some of them aren't too good. And yeah, they need a good wash, but there's some funny little things that have happened. I mean, he's wanted to paint it by the looks of it. Where's my torch? And I think the guys would probably tell you that, especially with engines, cleanliness is next to godliness. And he's painted the engine, or someone has, and none of it's prepared, and there's lots of nasty loose paint inside. Well, all that's just destined to get stuck around the oil pickup pipe, or just block a oil way off. So we'll get her. I think I might finish stripping it, get the crank out and the cam out. I've got to check the oil pump anyway, so we'll get the rest of it apart and then take the block to work on Monday and give it a wash. I do want to, this is another engine with no rear main oil seal, and just got a scroll, and I basically use a piece of lead solder, and then you tiny little piece, or piece enough that you can measure it afterwards, screw the cap back on and tighten it up to where it should be, then take it all apart, measure the thickness, same as a plastic gauge. That's how I do it anyway. Alright, so we'll get all the crank apart, crank out rather, and then go from there. The bench is starting to look like a mess. We need to have a little fire outside. It's an old 50s or 60s engine, so maybe in the 70s. It's all tab washers. I was Ziggy commented about the engine, and I commented back that I didn't think that the engine had been put together with a lot of care, and it's basically the little giveaways. It seems like these tab washers, they should be, when someone's taking a bit of care over putting the tab washers, I'll show you what I mean. When someone's taking a bit of care over building an engine, I mean that's a tab washer on this side. It's either the fact that they've used the old tab washers, or they're just not that bothered about workmanship. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of obvious to me, but unless the tab washers come off really nice and tidy, I think for the sake of the cost of new tab washers, I think peace of mind and all, it's always better to whack a new set of tab washers in there. Maybe I'm being a bit anal, but I don't think so. I think you can pick up tab washers for the mains and big ends for about another 10 quid, so again, for the sake of 10 quid, let's do it right. When they're all beat up like this, the bits fly everywhere and go bloody, well, end up somewhere where I don't want it to go. Anyway, there you go, I'm moaning now, sorry. First true test for the little stand. It's got a bit of give in it, but it's holding together. Some of this rubbish I can't stand. I've got such a forgetful brain that if I don't set this stuff out properly, then I might forget, and I'm not forgetting engines coming apart. I think what it is I spent quite a few years in a service van, and we'd always do the engine rebuilds in the workshop, but quite often get sent out on breakdowns and stuff. And you might be out in the field for probably maybe up to 2 or 3 days and never get back to the workshop. So you had to sort of leave your bench in a way that you knew how to put stuff back together, or knew where you left off, or stuff like that, you know. So it kind of you had to be like try and be tidy-minded. I'm not one of these guys that can just throw everything in a box and know exactly where it all goes. I think because we work, where I work, there's a huge variety of makes and sizes and whatever of machines that you can't get to expert level on each one really. You know, one minute we're working on Caterpillar, next minute, you know, an 8-ton Caterpillar digger or backhoe, and then next minute you're working on a D85 Komatsu dozer. So it's you know, and anything between, it's a massive difference, and like I say, you can't always remember. Well, I can't anyway, maybe some other guys can, I can't. Guess I'm a bit woolly brained maybe. Anyway, so I'll just have a slatten them. I'll just whip the timing gear off. Ooh. that's it. On these, pretty simple. You've got a dot and a dot that you line up. See those guys? This is what I mean. Look, can you see that tab? It's had the granny beaten out of it, to be honest. It's real messy. So I don't know. It just excuse me again for sniffing. It just smells of poor execution, if you ask me. This I think the idea is you're supposed to put a straight edge down through the centres and then have everything line up. Does that make sense? So can you see that, guys? We're pretty much lined up there. So I don't know how successful I'm going to be in a minute, but normally I'd have an air gun, you know, and rattle that nut off. But I haven't got one at home, so it'll be by hand, and we'll have to see how we get on. It'll be a matter of stopping the pulley spinning, fire there, and hoping it doesn't snap anything. Basically, you can jam up the teeth with some stuff and get it to work that way, but stretches a chain sometimes and whatever. So anyway, I'll just notice the markings on the front, which is it's got a 731 marking on the front of the cam. So I'll have to go and check what that one is when I get in. I think that's just a standard MG cam. Anyway, so we'll get that off and have a look. Oh dear, this isn't very good. Hooray! Inch and 5/16. Go to the big boys' toys. 3/4 stuff. So a very sad thing happened back, I don't know, it's 8 years ago. It's what's called, well, one of the things that helped me go into the office in the end was I was working in a quarry as an operator mechanic, and it was when we were doing Zigzag Hill every day, if you remember that little excuse me, Zigzag Hill drive that I did last week. So the van, we had Ford Transits, brilliant van, you know, but unfortunately they were always right up to or just over their weight limit, what we carried in there. We, you know, because of the sort of range of stuff we worked on, from your mini diggers to your big crushers, we sort of loaded the vans to the gunnels. We should have gone up the next size up and ended up with trucks instead, you know, like 7.5 tonners. But we didn't. We stuck with the vans, and we had gas bottles and big diesel welders on them, and so they would be dragging their ass all day basically. Anyway, so I think 3 years of going up and down Zigzag Hill probably didn't help it. And anyway, the gearbox blew on it, and I had to be recovered. Got to work in the quarry, and we basically had a shipping container in the quarry for our stores, and I ended up having to take all my drawers out because I needed my tools at work, and they gave me a little van, little car size van, and let's concentrate a minute. On a little car size van, So I had to take the drawers out and I had a snap-on toolbox, similar sort of setup that I got here. Took all the drawers out and laid them out in there so I could still use my tools. And that night they had a break-in. They'd never had a break-in for years. But that night they had a break-in in the quarry. We had a big massive drill, for a rock drill from a big Atlas Copco, probably about 50 mil, 2 inch in diameter rock drill that went through the doors and had a big old caterpillar padlock one end. But there was tyre marks coming across the quarry because it had rained. It sort of fluffed up the ground, but you could clearly see the tyre marks from a 4x4. I mean, these quarries are out in the middle of nowhere, you know, there's no noise. You can make as much noise as you want and you'd never hear it. Nobody would hear it. And anyway, this you can see this, the wheels from this 4x4 come across the quarry floor, and they've broken into the like the little office we had, which was also locked up well and all the rest of it. Broken into that. Excuse me. And let's put you up here, you might be able to see better. See a bit better there. Broken into the office, got the keys out for one of the machines, a wheeled shovel. With a big Fiat Alice wheel shovel there that was capable of moving around sort of 12 ton rock. And sort of busted the front of this container off and stole all my tools, and I was left with a few tools that were kicking around and a few that I'd had in my van, were left lying on the floor in my van. I wasn't the tidiest of fitters back then, and yeah, all my tools got stolen, so you know, really gutted. This place had never had a break-in for years. And yet, as soon as my tools went in that cabin, that was it, mate. It got broken into. So we can only assume it was the tow truck driver, but obviously it was all too late by then. And whatever, if there was any tools left over, it was all well dispersed and no proof and whatever. Anyway, so where that long rambling story has gone is like it's taken me 7 years to build up my toolkit again, and it's nowhere near nowhere near the same quality of what I used to have. I used to have a lot of snap-on and brittle and stuff that you'd had as a kid, you know. There's a really awkward bolt on a Komatsu water pump on the dozer, D65 dozer. They're of the sort of dash 10 series, and you needed a 17 mil spanner, ring spanner that had a good crank in it. So you basically got your toolkit and you went in the back of your van into your vise, heated up the spanner and bent it the shape you needed it, and then that was forever then your Komatsu water pump spanner, you know. There's lots of things like that in your toolbox. I was broken hearted when that happened. It was like losing one of your kids. Well, no, it's not like losing one of your kids, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Anyway, so that was that. So anyway, yeah, so I ended up with I've got a load more tools, but nowhere near as much as I used to have. But it gets me by pretty much with what I'm doing nowadays, which is my own stuff. I don't do a lot of work now. Every now and again I have to go out and maybe change a fuel filter, but it's very rare. And machines now are made so much more friendly for the fitter, for the mechanic, that you can just sort of stand by the side, open the door panel, stand there and change a fuel filter. It's quite easy.